Heifers is your one-stop shop for embroidered and printed hats, custom patch hats, and trending graphic tees that can be fully customized for you, your company, or your next big event. Whether you need a single design or a whole company's worth of branded gear, they've got you covered. Come see us at 110 Bushnell Plaza in Bushnell. Shop in-store or browse online anytime at thestitchingheifers.com. All right, welcome back to another edition of the Goblay Show. I'm your host, Billy Goble, and today's special guest is a former Major League Baseball player and also a coach and manager for a couple different teams. And without further ado, let's just jump right into this. I want to welcome Mr. Clint Hurdle to the show. Clint, welcome to the show, buddy.
Billy, thank you. I look forward to spending some time with you.
How's it going? How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. I'm healthy. I'm happy. I happen to be out in Spokane, Washington right now watching our high A ball team with the Colorado Rockies play this week.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I noticed the first time we tried to get together to do this, you had just gotten hired by the Rockies as the hitting coach, and it kind of deterred and delayed everything, but that's all right because good things come to those who wait, and I'm just excited to have you on today.
Well, yeah, last year at this time, I was 5 years removed from the dugout when I got a call and asked me to come back and help out. We were in a very hard spot. Team hadn't played well for years, and it was another bad year on the way happening. So for the first month, they called me back. I was a hitting coach, and then the organization let go of Bud Black and Mike Redmond, the bullpen coach, and put Warren Schaefer in charge, the interim manager, and asked me if I kind of help a young man get his feet underneath him at the major league level. So for 5.5 months last year, I was back in the dugout. Hadn't been back in the dugout since 2019, and there was a lot of good that came with it, and we had to do a lot of hard together, and hopefully our organization's in a better spot now than they were at that time.
Well, you know, you have a history of going to different teams, especially the Rockies. Coincidentally, you went back to them, but your first coaching stint was with Colorado. You can correct me if I'm wrong on anything, but as far as I know, that you went back to Colorado and that was your first gig, and you took them from, I would say, a mediocre team or whatever, just whatever average team, and you made them into something that was, that people weren't expecting. And then you did it again in Pittsburgh. I mean, Pittsburgh had a losing streak of over 20 years, and it was just. I kind of dubbed you. I hope you don't take offense to this, but I think it's pretty cool. I kind of dubbed you the Bill Parcells of the Major League Baseball.
That's a high compliment because anytime you're compared with the Big Tuna, you're rolling pretty good. He's an impressive coach with a great resume. Was able to take some organizations that weren't in good spots and help them to get to better spots. So I've been fortunate to do that a couple different times. The thing I remind people of is there's always a lot of fingerprints on success.
Yeah.
And it takes more than one person to get things turned around. And I've been fortunate in two different situations that I had people that I worked for that trusted me and gave me some freedom and some space to move around the building. We were able to bring in good coaches that helped cover all my blind spots and were much more adept at teaching at skills I didn't have in teaching. And then nobody gets better and wins more games without good players. You got to have good players to win games. So it did work out in Colorado. We've done something that hasn't been done there again, to win the National League pennant, to make a trip to the World Series. And, of course, it was 20 consecutive losing seasons in Pittsburgh, 21 years without playoff baseball. And we were able to flip the script there and, get to the wild card game 3 straight years, 13 through 15. And our ballpark became a home field advantage. It was a competitive advantage. PNC Park was loud. It was proud. The fans were showing off. The park showed off. The players were showing off. They loved to play for everybody there. And it was a fun time to be in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and to have some kind of reference to that, if you go back to that 2013 wild card game against Cincinnati, and Cueto is on the mound and everybody's chanting Cueto, and then all of a sudden he just drops the ball and everybody just loses it. What was something like that? Like when that happened, if you remember that, what was going on in the dugout? Was Was that something that you guys like? You guys were like looking around and let's just go with it, or was that something like do players really get into that kind of stuff?
Well, I don't think there's any doubt that players can be motivated by the home team, the home crowd,
Right.
and they can it can suck the air out of you when you get booed. I mean, it's got two different. It creates a wake both ways, and we heard some of that, of course, in 2011 and 2012. Both years we got off the fantastic starts and then just crumbled on the second half. And the in particular wild card game, it was such, for me, a emotional evening because three generations of fans showed up. You had grandparents with their children who brought their children.
Yep.
You had grandfathers, grandmothers, husbands, daughters, wives, I mean, it was all over the place. And we got off to a little bit of the crowd. It started at noon. And I guess Kutch and Burnett reached out to everybody on social media and talked about a blackout. So I had no idea. I always get to the dugout about a half an hour before the game starts because it's usually I'm the only one there. And I can watch them mark the field. I can smell it. I can see the people come in. You can usually smell a hot dog, maybe some popcorn. That doesn't make me mad either, but I like that feel. But these people they're pouring in. They're not walking in. They're pouring in. They're already in. And 95% of them were in black. As the game progressed, the vibe, the energy, Liriano's dealing, and then the Cueto inning. I mean, when your hometown team starts chanting the name of the other player, you get your attention. You're on high awareness. You just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And for him to drop the ball, we all got goosebumps. None of us were chanting Cueto in the dugout, trust me. But when he dropped the ball, you're like, oh my gosh, look what just happened. And then the next pitch ends up in the North Shore notch. Russell bangs it, to deep left center field and gets us rolling, and the place exploded. Bird hits another one later. We get some more runs. Liriano, the bullpen, all of it, just a beautiful game. 20 years of angst unleashed.
Yep.
Of whatever. The emotions poured out of the people in that stadium. But it was a surreal moment for sure. And I never get tired of watching it. People send it to me. It's a special moment in time.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. When it comes to rewatching it, reliving it, I'll see it on my Instagram or TikTok or whatever social media platform it is, and it always brings a smile to my face. And I remember watching that game in my living room, and I'm like, I'm down in Florida, and it's hard to be a Pirates fan in Florida unless you're at spring training. I mean, let's just be real. I mean, it's hard, but and that was a very special year, and it just kind of like. It was like, okay, we got this, and now we're going to turn that page. And it was like all the bad, like when a storm subsides and it goes away out into the distance, and you go, okay, we can go outside now. It felt like we had been inside for 20 years as a child, and we weren't allowed to go outside and play because the storm was going on, and we could not go outside until it was over with. So, hey, kudos to you. Thank you so much. I mean, you got to give credit where it's due, but you also say you got good players, but it also starts with leadership, and you got a great manager, and that helps a lot. You can have all the great players you want, but if they don't not put in the right spot, I mean, it's just as valuable as having a all-star player.
Well, I won't disagree because I've played for some tremendous managers. The leadership skills that I've learned from, and I still use some of their leadership traits and just methods.
Right.
Plus, when I came in, when I was gifted the opportunity, one of the first things I said at a press conference was we wanted to rebond the city with a baseball team because there was a divorce.
Yeah.
Attendance was down. You fill a place up. Pittsburghers will fill it up for fireworks. They'll fill it up for a concert.
Yeah.
But Saturday night was about the only time it would get close to full. And
yeah,
we saw that kind of a little bit the first two seasons, but for that 3-year run, there weren't a lot of empty seats. Our boys were proud to play for the name on the front.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, one thing about Pittsburgh, you go anywhere, you'll always see a Steeler jersey, always. But for those 3 years, you go anywhere in Pittsburgh, anywhere in the surrounding areas, boroughs, townships, you saw a pirate hat.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's a very special thing. I've got to say I was introduced to it through my uncle who just recently passed away last December, and he was I mean, Clint, he would be so proud right now. He'd be like, "Oh my gosh, you're talking to Clint." Yeah, yeah, Uncle Bobby. This is like one of my dreams come true to talk to somebody that I watched on their play or coach, and he's the one who introduced me to all this. Of course, when at the time when I got introduced to it was in the early '90s, and you had the Killer Bees, you had Van Slyke, you had Jay Bell, you had all those guys that were just making it happen, and then Bond goes away, Bonilla goes away, and it seems like it starts to go down. So those were some tough years to wear that Pirates hat. But I never stopped. And I think it's one of those things that there's a lot of people in the city that can say the same thing, even though the Steelers had more, obviously they've had more success in the past 30 years. We can say that historically we still have fans out there and we just have something that's very special.
There's no doubt. This is a special place to play. Blue collar mentality. Roll your sleeves up, no BS. Your actions are always going to speak louder than your words. A handshake's real.
Right.
A dollar is real. Don't waste my time. And they're passionate about what they're passionate about.
Right.
And it was an honor to be the manager there for 9 seasons.
We're going to go back a little bit. I'd like to go back to see how you got, because I know you actually, speaking of, I said I was in Florida. I know that you spent some time in Florida, so we're going to go ahead and go back and go. We're going to rewind and go back and how did Clint Hurdle get to Florida is what I want to know. Like, tell me what brought you down to the Sunshine State to get you down here where you could play some baseball.
Well, I didn't travel on my own. My mom and dad decided to pick up from Big Rapids, Michigan, and move to Florida. I think I was 4. And we. They just had another baby. My sister Bobby was born, and we went down to Florida. Robin was eventually born. My other sister was born in Rockledge, Florida. My dad just was looking for something new. He had worked. He played collegiate ball. He was 3 or 4 sports. He played everything. He was in track, basketball, baseball, football. All of it. But getting a job that had meaning to him, he didn't want to work in the Ford factory like his dad did.
Yeah.
He picked up a private investigator job that he worked for that company, and it just didn't work. So he had one friend in Florida that he called, and the guy goes, "Hey, there's a lot of opportunity down here. I got nothing lined up for you, but I've just got a job, and maybe you can come out here." My dad packed up and went with no job, no place to live. We figured it out. He got a job at RCA first. Then he moved out to the Cape and had different positions out at Cape Kennedy for all the years we were there. But, it was probably around 1962 that I arrived there, grew up there, went to school, elementary, junior high, high school, played 3 sports in high school until my senior year, and there just wasn't enough time for basketball. So I focused on baseball,
right,
and football. But that's where we landed on the east coast of Florida. It was actually called the Space Coast at the time. And it was a very interesting time to be there because, all the launches were going off. The space industry was flourishing. It was a lot of attention. It was an exciting time. Cocoa Beach was 7 miles away from us across 520 Causeway. So at that time, it was a big surfing capital. The original Ron John surf shop was built there. It was no more bigger than probably a 20 by 20 foot building with, about 6 surfboards in it. They were 12 feet long. And now it's 2 or 3 floors out on the beach. But it was a fun place to grow up. I did a lot of fishing, but I played a lot of sports and got a lot of wonderful memories.
What made you pick baseball? Did you have someone in your life? I mean, I'm sure you're going to probably say your dad, maybe, because, he's the closest to you that played, like you said, collegiate baseball. But was there someone that you idolized, like, growing up, and you said, This is the guy, this is why I'm here, and this is why I want to do this for a living.
Well, no, there was a player I idolized, but I got to run it back to my dad. At the age of 5, my dad asked me one question, Billy, that basically changed the trajectory of my life, and it still has. He took me out in the garage and he looked down at me and said, "Hey, you want to play catch?" I'm 5. I said, "Catch what?" He said, I got a couple gloves and I got a couple baseballs. And I'd like to go out and play a little catch with you. He goes, "I love the game of baseball, son." And he was a Yankee fan, Mickey Mantle fan. He says, I just love it. And maybe we can pick it up and do it together. Maybe it's something that you might eventually like.
Yeah.
Well, little did I know that one question, now 63 years later, my dad and I still play catch. We try and play catch now. He's 92, I'm 68, so it doesn't look like the catch we used to play. We play a little more chase now than we do catch.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we did last January 10th on his birthday. There's so many things that happened in my life because of that one question. But the player that I idolized, I grew up in Michigan. I didn't grow up, but I was born in Michigan. We went back to Michigan every summer until I was 17. My dad had 4 sisters, and his mom and dad. So we always went back, and it was our entire summer vacation was there. But I fell in love with Al Kaline at an early age, and Al Kaline was my guy. Al Kaline will always be my guy. My next guy in my pocket that I'd run to was Brooks Robinson. I fell in love with Brooks Robinson watching that one World Series. His play against the Cincinnati Reds is the defensive play at third base. In fact, he had that short little brim on his batting helmet. He actually had a pretty good offensive series as well, but he was known for the Gold Gloves. I think 21 of them over his career. Al Kaline might have 19 of Gold Gloves over his year. My numbers could be off, but I'm talking about Gold Gloves. Almost 24 Gold Gloves, both these guys.
Yeah.
Kaline was my guy. And fortunately, as that one question, you want to play catch? I ended up getting to play catch with Al Kaline. He came out and saw me, knew I was a Michigan kid my rookie year. But from that point on, when I became a manager, Al Kaline would either be waiting for me in the manager's office in Detroit when I arrived, or he would be down there within a half an hour after I'd walked in. The club, he would let him know I was there. We became good friends.
That's awesome.
And yes, I mean, I still get goosebumps talking about it.
Yeah.
But Al Kaline was my guy.
I had Roberto Clemente Jr. on the show, and we were talking about his dad. And, even though I was not old enough, I'm only 44, I wasn't old enough to see his dad play. But while we were talking, I've seen all the highlights and stuff of Roberto Clemente. I still consider him the best player in baseball, even though, I mean, you've got Babe Ruth, you got Ted Williams, you got Mickey Mantle, all these guys that are sluggers. I think all around, in my own opinion, the one that I just kind of like thought of the most was Roberto Clemente. And as I'm talking to Roberto Clemente Jr., I'm telling you, Clint, it was a weird feeling. You talking about goosebumps. I'm talking about, he's talking about, the day that his dad left and never came back. And I'm just sitting there like, I'm about to tear up. Cause I mean, I could feel this, and he wasn't even in the studio. It was just like Zoom, just like this. And I could feel like this presence, and it was just an awesome feeling. It wasn't anything bad, but I'm just telling you, like, baseball itself, it's just a different thing. I guess that's why it's our national pastime, is we have all these different guys that played, and just memories of good times when it used to be good. I mean, like, it's not bad now, but what I'm saying is, the early days and the guys who played, and, all these all-stars and stuff, and just, I don't know, it was just a different thing. But
it was different, Billy. There's more tradition.
Yes.
There was less gamemanship. It was the way it was. It was a different generation that established all that. Different types of respect, different types of performance. It always seemed more team-minded, than individual-minded. However, every generation that's ever come across the board complains about the one before them in any type of situation, whether it's sport, industry, real estate, clothing. I'm not here to do that.
Yeah. No,
Um,
no, no.
I get the feeling because that's the way my dad felt about Mickey Mantle.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I encourage people, you don't have to explain to other people why you feel that's your perception. And nobody can
Right.
argue with your perception. You think Roberto Clemente is the greatest player that ever played. Case
Yeah.
closed.
Yeah.
Uh, I I was fortunate enough to be able to watch Clemente play.
That's awesome.
And yeah, he'd be at the top of the list. I don't know. I don't think I've ever sat down and thought about who I think the greatest player that ever played was
Yeah.
because I didn't get to see all of them.
Yeah.
But the ones I saw, Clemente would be in that mix. K-Line would be in that mix.
Yeah.
George Brett would be in that mix. I
Yeah.
was fortunate enough to play with Hall of Famers, manage and coach against Hall of Famers. Seen a lot of tremendous talent on the field. Appreciate all of it. And, one of the things I'm sure we'll get into at one time, the impact Clemente has had on our city. And, I was fortunate enough to get to meet Vera and get to meet the three boys and spend time with them every year on Clemente Day. We did that 9 times. So Roberto Jr. and I are the closest of the sons. We still stay in touch. But yeah, he left fingerprints on everything that he touched. Roberto did in the city of Pittsburgh and everywhere he went.
Yeah, and that's the way I felt. Even though I have never face to face met him before. Just by talking to him on the podcast, it almost felt like that like we were friends. Like we had been. I had known him for a long time and stuff, and it was a really cool feeling. But yeah, it's hard to not compare the other generation before or after or whatever. Like people say, what genre of music was best or whatever. But, I do like, I just saw a video the other day. It says this guy slides in the second. I think he got a double. He slides in the second and he gets up and there's no celebration. It's like from the 70s or 80s. He goes, watch the celebration. And the guy gets up, just dusts himself off, and he goes, see, he doesn't do anything. He just tells the coach there's 2 outs. That's all he does. That was his celebration. He goes, let the fans celebrate and you do the base running. So I mean, and I understand what he's saying, but like you said, that's his own perspective. That's his own thing. But it was just, and here I am waiting for him to do something. I'm like, he's not gonna. What's he gonna do? Like do a dance or something? And he never did anything. And that was the whole point. He was like, look, it's a lot different, but that's the way it is.
Well, there's more attention to me, and it's social media. There's a lot of different reasons.
Yep.
I mean, look at Billy. You're part of. Look at the number of podcasts out there. Anybody can have their own podcast. Anybody.
That's true.
You don't need to have any qualifications to have a podcast.
Nope.
You don't need to have many qualifications to write about baseball and start a sports blog or any kind of blog. And I'm not saying that's bad. Yeah. I'm just saying there's so much of it. We become saturated, and then we're looking for storylines. And then, of course, we want more likes. We need more thumbs. We need more subscribers. So then that's where the shock journalism gets in play, where I've got to say something that's going to grab everybody's attention. Or, you go on X, you can get a fist fight on X anytime you want. All you got to do is read somebody's tweet and then throw something nasty back at them that you don't even know. And then here we go.
Yep.
Here, pistols are firing.
Yep.
There's a lot of nonsense out there. There is a lot of good gamemanship that goes on. And so it's a younger generation. I'm 68. People aren't trying to get me to buy season tickets like they are that 38-year-old man.
It's true.
He's got a chance to buy tickets for 30 years. I don't know how many years I got a chance to buy more tickets for. So I get all of it, and I'm not going to be the angry old man in any kind of context. Yeah. I'm going to appreciate the time I played. Appreciate the time I managed and coached. I'm still involved in the game because I love it and am passionate about it. Now, it's not the same game I fell in love with. But that's okay. It's the game that these kids are falling in love with.
Yep.
And I just need to find my way to work my way across the room, honor that, be a GPS when I can, be a sounding board when they want to listen, and try and provide some experience, strength, and hope. And that's what I'm doing with the Rockies right now in the minor league system. 90% of my time is back in the minor leagues. I'm mentoring the young coaching staffs, leadership training. I am having conversations with young players and pitchers, but not so much technical as far as mental.
Right.
And I've got a lot of experience to pull from.
I was just about to ask you, if you're like player versus a coach or a manager, do you think, obviously, I mean, this might be a no-brainer for you, but I'm going to ask anyways, is there more pressure on you as a manager or as a player to produce or to have some kind of production does that make sense?
No, it makes sense. As a player, though, you're one of 26. As a manager,
Right.
You're in charge of 26 and everybody else in that clubhouse.
Right.
Everybody else. And you're representing the organization. That brand you carry with you to work. Everywhere you go in the city, when you're not wearing a uniform, you're representing the organization. So from my perspective, there's more pressure in that position, as well there should be,
right,
than in a position of a player.
Yeah, that's like, you go back to some of these coaches that are they want to do these crazy different things, like just say in football, they want to do this or that, and the head coach is not a big fan of it, and they're like, hey, that's at the end of the game, they're not going to come interview you why it didn't work. They're going to come by and ask me what happened, like why did you do this, and it's like that wasn't me, that wasn't my idea. So let's keep it in our boundaries where our focus as a team. And I figured it would be a lot more, obviously more pressure on you as a manager than it would be as a player. But sometimes sometimes I think that the players have enough stress on them as well to perform, especially at a young age like that.
Well, as a coach or a manager, I felt one of my responsibilities was to help eliminate distractions for the players.
Right.
And just get them in a position where they walk through that clubhouse door. Okay, you're ours now. You're not your families. We got you from 2:00 till 11:00.
Right.
So there's a 9-hour period. There's a 3-hour game. And you know how much activity actually happens during the game, Billy, of baseball in a 3-hour, 2-hour, 45-minute game? How much actual from the pitch, a thrown, a ball put, it's less than 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's not much.
For what we're asking for concentrated focus, for buy-in, I would shrink it down to those levels to say, is that too much? That's not too much of a commitment for you to make to your team.
Right.
And I'll always present it as a team-minded goal. Not you need to do this for me. You need to do this for the team. You need to do this for our organization. But a coach and a manager, the best ones are the ones when everybody's having success, you're a window. People look right through you and they see everybody else. Right. When you're not having success, you're a mirror. You just wear it. As the manager, I needed to wear it. No excuses, no BS.
Yep.
Yes, I get information from up top. There was analytical information. I was fortunate and blessed in 2 different places I managed. I was given free rein to manage. And there's been many people that have let me know that I wasn't very good at it from time to time. They'll make the comments, anybody could have managed that 2013, 2015 team. Anybody could have done this. And, that you don't get caught up with. I was given some excellent advice from Bobby Cox way back in the day. I'm never going to give credence to a comment from somebody I've never asked advice from.
True.
They're not help. I don't ask for advice, but I'm going to let their comments, if they're negative, penetrate me and make me feel less than. I need to make sure that I'm steadfast for those players, for those coaches. Yeah. And I'm calm and I'm confident and I'm directed. The responsibility's big, but the blessings are big too. I mean, managers get paid. I was taken care of extremely well with my 9 years in Pittsburgh, and I didn't figure it out the right way. I was never in it to make money, but I made money once I stopped playing. I thought I was going to make money being a player, being a really good player. It didn't quite work out that way for me.
Yeah.
And I was gifted the opportunity in two different organizations to be trusted with those keys to a clubhouse and to a dugout, to a team.
Pat's Taps at Catfish Johnny's. Pat's Taps is Lake Panasoffke's only craft beer tap room, offering 12 rotating craft beers on tap. We also offer bottled domestic beer, seltzers, ciders, and wine, as well as a variety of appetizers and pub food. Our family-friendly tap room is a great place to hang out and enjoy some one-of-a-kind craft beer. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, or the Untapped app.
Whether your water is supplied by a public municipality or a private well. For residential or commercial use, Purified Water Services LLC has the solutions to provide you with simply clean water. We offer a complete line of professional water filtration equipment and accessories. Soft water makes a difference you can see and feel. Water heater and appliances last longer with less maintenance. Iron and H2S filters eliminate iron stains and offensive rotten egg odors and protects your water softener equipment from iron fouling. No matter what your problem is, Purified Water Services LLC has a solution. Contact Kenny Williams at 352-446-2709. If you're looking for real fun and adrenaline in Central Florida, head out to Bushnell Motorsports Park. It's a real outdoor go-karting track in Bushnell with high-speed rental karts that anyone can drive, no experience needed. You show up, they get you geared up, and you're racing. It's a great day to go out with friends, a great date, a great way to spend an afternoon. The high-speed karts are available to anyone 16 and older, and the junior karts are for anyone 10 and older. It's also one of the top spots in the area for corporate events and private parties, birthdays, bachelor parties, team building days, and company outings. They handle the whole thing. Track time, meeting room, trophies, the whole works. To learn more or to plan your race, visit BushnellMotorsportsPark.com. That's BushnellMotorsportsPark.com. If you want an energy drink that tastes like a reward, check out Big B Energy Drinks. 3 delicious flavors: strawberry smash, white cherry fizz, and summer melon. Super refreshing, super smooth. It hits the caffeine sweet spot, 80 milligrams per can, made for the people who want something more than soda, but don't need the 300 milligrams energy drink full of jitters. It has a smooth onset with no crash at the end. And the best part, no artificial colors. It's the kind of energy drink that you grab on the way to work, before the gym, or anytime you need to lock in and get something done. Take a sip, thoughtfully crafted, masterfully mixed. You can order online at BigBEnergy.com. Use promo code GOBLAY10 to save 10% at checkout. CY Western Company is located in Bushnell, Florida. It's a great place for boots, clothing, gifts, and accessories for the whole family. They are a family-owned and operated business that opened in 2008. They offer free gift bagging and layaway services, and also a 10% discount for 4-H and FFA members with proof of membership. Be sure to like them on Facebook, where customers can stay updated on sales and giveaways. You can find them next to Lowry's True Value Hardware in Bushnell, open Monday through Friday, 10 to 6, and Saturdays, 9 to 5. Be sure to check out CY Western Company.
Catfish Johnny's Restaurant, served at Lake Panasoffkee and surrounding areas since 1990. For the last 34 years, we have strived to serve great food at good prices and a friendly, casual atmosphere. If seafood isn't your thing, our wings and burgers are the best around. We have our daily specials too. We are open Wednesday through Saturday. Check us out on Facebook or Instagram for more information.
Webster Ace Hardware and Farm Supply are generous sponsors for today's podcast. They have been a family-owned business for 27 years. This helpful hardware store sells items such as archery, Ariat clothing and boots, Wrangler jeans, case knives, Hammond's candies, and live fishing wear. They also have a full selection of hardware, RV supply, propane, Ben Moore, Royal & Clark, and Kingston paints. You need a barn or fencing job done? Custom barn kits and roofing metal are provided at your local Ace Hardware store. What about a new grill for the yard? Traeger, Big Green Egg, Weber, and Blackstone are found here, along with all the accessories to go with them. Stock up your workshop with DeWalt, Milwaukee, or Craftsman tools. They got you covered. Remember to go to ace.com to shop their entire line to have items shipped directly to the store. I was going to ask you, when you go to a team like that, like Colorado or Pittsburgh at the time, and you have, it's not so hard on the rookies, but how hard is it to get the veterans to accept the new guy? Like, what do you have to do? I'm not asking for a formula, but what was your way of getting in the locker room and going, hey, look, I know I'm new and you've been here before, but what you're doing is not working. So that's why I'm here.
Well, that's a pretty good intro right there, but your presentation is everything, and the timing of your presentation. There is 3 keys that I used, and I learned them as a player. I learned them years ago that I put in my coaching practice in the minor leagues as a manager and then as a major league coach. There was 3 questions I always hoped to get answered as a player. from my coach or from my manager. Number one, can I trust you? Number two, can you make me better? Number three, do you care about me?
Yep.
To this day, I use those three. I used them in Colorado. We used them in Pittsburgh. The players will tell you those were three of my mantras that I shared with them continually. You're never going to get a player to allow you to coach them until they trust you.
Right.
You know this. Anybody that's worked knows this. Anybody that's had a boss, if you trust your boss, he's earned your trust or she's earned your trust, and you know they care about you and they're there to make you better, what won't you do?
Right.
But if you know they're more of a transactional type coach where, hey, you're going to do this, so I get this. And, you know, I want you to do this, all this hard work, but I'm taking weekends off or whatever. The buy-in is real. It takes time to develop and especially earn trust. Once you've earned that trust, they will give you opportunities to coach them. You never know when they're going to happen. They don't always happen in uniform. They don't always happen on the field. You've got to let them know you care about them by asking about their life, their upbringing. I called them collecting coins. What kind of family they come from? Was mom and dad married? Was it a single family? Sisters, other brothers? What was that like? What are your hobbies? Do you fish? Do you hunt? Do you listen to music? Do you like pets? Do you like dogs? All those things. So when I would walk towards them, they wouldn't see Clint coming like, oh, God, here we go. We're going to talk about the game again. They're like, I used to tell my coaches I didn't want to be the no coach. And a couple of them would say, what do you mean? I go, you're that guy when you walk towards a player, he drops his head and goes, oh, no, here comes so-and-so. Because they know what's coming. You're going to talk about something bad that happened or only game related. Maybe it's good, but more often than not, you're picking scabs.
Yeah.
And some of the best compliments I ever received were from players later on towards the end of the time together or even after they got out. They said, hey, Clint, I just want to let you know this. There was days you started walking towards me and I didn't know what you were bringing based on our history together. All I know is I felt better every time you walked away.
Yeah.
That's coaching.
You know, and a lot of people think that you have to be this great psychologist to coach kids, players, teach, whatever you want to do or whatever have you. But I think it's just you need to just realize that you're dealing with a human being. When you put someone higher than they actually are, I think you put something out of reach where they, you know, it's almost like it's like trying to reach for the moon, you know, you can swipe at it all the time, but you can't, you're never going to get to it to where you want, you know, where you put these people. And so you try to keep these players grounded and just say, hey, look, we're human, you know, we all make mistakes or whatever. But I think great coaching, like you said, is like I've learned the hard way. You know, you got to learn and know your kids. You got to learn what they can do and what they can't do, and not just physically, but mentally. Like you're not going to go out there and ask them to do something that they're not capable of doing, or jump on them like they can take it to begin with.
Well, one of the best lessons I learned, and it never hit me in Colorado, and something I learned along the way because I am still trying to learn at the age of 68.
Yeah.
And I think one of the, you know, two of the greatest character traits you can have as a person is kindness and humility. Be authentic as well, but to be kind. Mm-hmm. And as you said, to treat another human being as a human being. They're not a human doing. They're a human being.
Yep.
But I got to Pittsburgh and there was a couple situations where, you know, either players were struggling or we weren't able to unlock what was locking them up, for a better term. And I got to a point where one year I decided to do something different. And I decided to start with, it was Marte. I said, what do you think my expectations are for you this year? And he went on, he goes 40 doubles, 100 runs, 50 stolen bases, gold glove, and all these numbers. And when he stopped, I was like, oh my gosh, how heavy is that burden he's carrying around? I go, you know what, Starling? If you do that, you'll be the MVP. That'll be some kind of season. But no, I said, no, those aren't my expectations. My expectations for you are to be the best teammate you can be. When you're here, you're here. You're not
Yeah.
somewhere else.
Yeah.
When you play left field, you're a run preventer. When you get on offense, you're a run scorer, or run driver enter. You get down that line. You play with passion. You play for your fans. You play for your teammates. Be on time. Treat others the way you want to be treated. I go, those are my expectations. And he looked at me. So I think I can do that. I said, well, yeah, let's do that together.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Because I think if you do that, all those other things might have a chance of happening. But if we put our focus on numbers and don't reach them, sometimes expectations just turn into resentments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like you said, that goes not just for sports, but for, take a look at what we were talking about, social media, and how everyone's kind of jumping on board. And why do they jump on board? Because, well, people are making money off of it, and they want to do this and they want to do that, and then they realize all the work behind it, or they realize that they're not going to get 100,000 or 1 million subscribers or followers, and they might start off with so many, or a certain low percentage or whatever, and they can't deal with that because their perspective of this was higher than what realistic terms were, and all the ins and outs of what you got to do, and I think that just that goes in hand with that, because our expectations are not realistic. Sometimes we try to, I always heard perception is not reality. Reality is reality. I think Mike Ditka said that one time. I loved it, because even though he was probably just being facetious at the time when he said it, it still is true, because you can game plan all you want for somebody to do this or that or against this team, but then you get up there, and if you don't do what we said we needed to do, the reality is you failed.
How unfair is that? I mean, for me to set expectations, it happened to me as a young player. I was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. But expectations were so high, I don't know if theoretically I ever could have reached all of them. And at one point in time, I got so frustrated. I said, if I had done everything people said I would do, I'd have won the MVP. I'd have given $100,000 to cancer, and I'd have married Marie Osmond. I said, it just got overwhelming. I've learned in AA, as I've shared transparently, I'm a recovering alcoholic. I've been divorced twice. I'm a flawed man. I've learned a lot of lessons the hard way over life. I'm in a much better place now, 27 years past when I got sober and I rededicated my life to Christ than I was then. But for me to put my expectations on somebody else and then them not meet them, and then for me to hold them accountable to my expectations and actually maybe get angry or resentful about it, it's just so unfair. It's shameful.
Clint, I will always accept someone who is willing to accept their own flaws versus a liar. You know what I'm saying? Like if someone who can admit something like that and say, hey, look, this is the way I used to be, but nobody's perfect. So to me, I just look at things when people tell me all the time, like this happened to me, this happened to me. I've had several guests on here where this or that happened to them. And if A and B had not happened, they would not have been through this journey. And you may never have seen the next step. But it's just, that's just part of life. That's why we play the game. You know what I'm saying? Not to be cheesy or cliche about it, but that's why you wake up in the morning every day. Everything's new. You get a fresh start. That's why I love the mornings, man. I'm a morning person. I like to get up in the morning and it's a brand new day. Forget about what happened last night or last week. People that listen to this podcast all the time, they're probably going to be like, "Oh my gosh, here he goes again." But we have a rule at our high school football team. It's the number one rule is focus on the next play, and we try to almost drive that in our players' in their heads, because it's such an awesome and impactful rule of thumb, because like I said, you're out on the field and you're on the baseball field and you make a bad play and you sit over there and you're like, well, I missed that double play up, or I overthrew the first baseman. You go back to the dugout and you sit there and you sulk in this defeat that you just admitted to yourself. Like, I'm just not good enough. I can't move on to the next step. The next at bat, you get a home run. But it can go so fast back and forth that, that you can't, but also you can't harp on that home run. You get back to the dugout and you go, okay, next up, let's do it. So
I used to have a saying Andrew would love, and he'd bring up from time to time. But I said, if you can visually put this together, it's kind of weird, but you'll get it. If you have a foot in yesterday and you got a foot in tomorrow, what are you doing today? And the visual, it looks like you're taking, you're out in the woods and you're taking a dump on today. And Andrew used to love that one, remind me of it. Because truthfully, we can't do anything about what happened yesterday. And I don't even know if I'm going to get to tomorrow, let alone worry about it.
We're not promising.
Today is the day that we have some control over, that we can impact, influence, and make a difference in. Let's not lose sight of that. And I'm a firm believer in second chances. I was gifted a second chance. There are times when you run out of chances. And I was divorced twice. I ran out of chances. I've made adjustments over life. I've been married 26 years now. For you guys out there, you want some man math? I got sober, and I'm sober 27 years. In my third marriage, I've been married 26 years. You think my drinking had anything to do with the collateral damage? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm not proud of it, but I share that transparently because it might help somebody else out that's listening today.
Absolutely.
If that's where you're at, man, you need to get out of there. It can get better. It will get better, but you need to take action. You need to honestly self-evaluate the situation you're in. What has been your role in creating that situation? And then ask for help. We don't have to have all the answers. There's people out there that have gone through what we're walking into or have walked out of or in right now. If we will just pick up a phone, reach out. Hey, have you ever experienced this? Hey, I'm struggling with this.
Yeah.
It's not being vulnerable. Well, actually, it is being vulnerable. And people, I think, have a slanted view. Vulnerability is a weakness. No, it's not. It's a superpower. It attracts people to you when you can be vulnerable and authentic.
Yep.
Okay. Well, he's real.
Yep.
Yeah, let's talk.
Yep. I heard a quote today. It says, when you make a mistake and you don't correct it, you've made your second mistake. And I don't know who said that. I don't know where I heard it, but today it hit me. And I was like, you don't know how hard that hits when you go, a lot of people just want to continue that whatever. They're willing to say what's wrong, but they don't want to do anything about it. So, I mean, if you can, that can go to sports, that can go to life. They coexist because either one, if you're not correcting the problem, I mean, what do you do?
Problem. You are the problem if you're not.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I heard that and I was like, man, that's pretty cool because a lot of people they're not willing to take that, to make the effort to change it. And you'll never grow if you don't change what you don't like about yourself, about what you're doing, about your job, about your life. So I just think that was I don't know. I had to share that with you because I was like, man, that's something I heard and it was impactful.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing that.
I want to ask you this. When going back to being a manager and you're in charge of a team, when you had an all-star player on your team, did you have to motivate them as much as you did everyone else, or were they able to just kind of take control and make it where you just kind of, I don't want to say you didn't have to do anything, but you just kind of were like in coast mode, like, all right, look, I'll let them decide it. like almost like a coming to Jesus party. Like, hey, we're on a 5-game skid. Something's got to change. I can change the lineup. I can do this. I can have him pitch, but you guys as a collective group have to figure it out because I can't be out there for you.
Well, no, that's definitely part of it. And that's part of developing a relationship with, maybe I used to call it my senior leadership council, guys that have been around. And we would meet maybe twice a month. And we would talk about a couple of things that were going well, a couple of things that weren't going well, and who wanted to take ownership of things weren't going well. If it was with another player, I said, hey, you want me to go talk? They go, no, we got this one, Skip. We know so-and-so. There may be, no, we're done with him. We've seen enough. Yeah. This one's yours. They come up with ideas. I think one of the superpowers is inclusion that you can have as a manager with your coaches and with your players. They know they're being seen. They know they're being heard.
Right.
And they have a seat at the table. Now, everybody doesn't get a seat at the table, unless you got a really big table. But you can still make people feel like they have a seat at the table. Remember Thanksgiving when you were a kid?
Oh, yeah.
You had a seat at the table. It was just a small table until you got bigger, and then you got to the big table.
Yeah, we were always at the kids' table.
But with people, we all need encouragement.
Yeah, we do.
And when you play baseball, you play 162 games, you play 30 spring training games. There's just times where reminders, people don't want to be told what to do. Reminders are helpful, nudges are necessary. But one of the biggest misconceptions I'd hear from fans are, why should you need to motivate them? They're making this much money. Money is not a motivator. Because once you get it, what do you want? Either more stuff or more money. I mean, not everybody, but a lot of people. The biggest characteristic trait I found in elite athletes, leadership-driven athletes, difference makers on your team is discipline. Discipline beats motivation.
Mm-hmm.
Motivation has a shelf life. Motivational speakers, they keep speaking.
Yeah.
Because, it's like, I take a shower every day because I need to, right? It's kind of like encouragement. I need some encouragement every day. Nobody doesn't need encouragement. I'll actually share with my friends on a text every once in a while. I go, thank you for the encouragement. Because people look at me and I need to be the encourager. Well, that's like the guy that bakes bread. Whose bread does he eat? Who are you learning from?
Right.
Who's encouraging you? Who's pouring into you? We all need to lock arms and do it together, but discipline is the biggest determining factor I've seen over people for their different levels of success. And discipline in my life, when I didn't have any.
Yep.
I saw what happened. When I started having some, I saw the changes. Now when I have more, I see where I'm at now. And oh my gosh, this is where I need to stay. And I got to fight for this.
Right.
I don't just let it go and take it for granted. Every day I fight for this. I'm going to make sure I'm making good choices by making them one at a time.
Yeah.
And actually, making sure when I'm making decisions, they're for the best interest of everybody.
Right.
Not just myself.
How has faith changed your perspective on your mindset on coaching? I mean, has it changed at all, or you just said, I kind of want to piggyback on what we just talked about, but is it something that you have to really think about anymore, or does it just come naturally that you want to kind of inspire people that, hey, when it's not going your way, versus when you were younger, you were there for them, but you didn't see it like you see it now?
Well, I have quiet time every morning, but I'm not to the point where something happens and I don't have my quiet time. I'm lost and I'm freaking out. Okay.
Right.
But I channel my mornings. I'm a morning guy like you, Billy. The morning is the one time I know I have somewhat control over. Once I leave this room, and I'm going to leave this room here in about 5, 10, 6 minutes, there's no telling what the day's going to bring. I can have a lot of plans, and they could all turn into plan Bs or Cs or Ds. But my faith has given me a peace and a comfort knowing that anything that happens to me, God's got my best interest in play. He's put me in a position of leadership for a reason.
Right.
My actions will always speak louder than my words. I don't mind listening to a preacher, but I'd like to watch the preacher more than I need to hear him sometimes.
Right.
I gave my life to Christ at 17. at an FCA rally. Unfortunately, I used Jesus as an ATM card for 23 years. And I look where it got me. My Christian walk became a Christian obstacle course that I had much to do with. I had to rededicate my life to Christ in my 40s. My wife, Carla, lovingly says I went through male menopause. Why am I here? What am I doing?
Right.
Am I wasting time? Look, what do I want to do next? How do I want to impact others? Is this all about me, or do I need to be in service to others? And it just helped flip the script.
Yeah.
When I got back to accepting Jesus Christ as my Savior and Lord, and recommitting myself to Him, and getting sober, and then dedicating my life to my family and my close friends and others, there's not a lot of time left for me, which for all those 23 years, it was all about me.
Yeah.
It was me 24/7.
Yeah.
And I was trying to leverage everything for me. I could not have written the script of what my life's turned into when I made this decision 27 years ago to manage 2 major league teams for 17 years in the big leagues, to be in a dugout for over 2,600 games as a manager, to be respectful of other people's, not just their jobs, but their lives. These players have families, they've got kids, they got moms and dads. And to be a part of an organization, to serve others, the team president, the owner, the GMs, both places I worked with fantastic people that entrusted me with things. Right. And I try and share with my kids and my family, but I try and model the behavior that I hope to instill in others more than I really want to talk about it. I want them to see it in my actions.
Absolutely. Actions speak louder than words, and I think what you've done is a testimony to with your faith, and from what I've been seeing on social media, on your Instagram, and everything, you're doing tremendous work outside of the baseball field, and I really, really appreciate you coming on today, and taking the time for just this guy out in Florida that just wanted to talk to the old skipper.
Hey, Billy, do me a favor.
Yes, sir.
I put out a daily email. It's free. Not many things in life are free anymore. I've been doing this since 2009. There's almost 10,000 people on the encouragement email, and there's about 7,500 on the devotional. But if you go to ClintHurdle.com, and maybe you can even post this when you put the podcast.
Sure.
There are 2 emails a day, 6 days a week. We take Sundays off, just like Truett Cathay taught me from Chick-fil-A. It's a Sabbath, but they're free emails. And they're just people that I read, that encourage me, and that I learn from and I share with others. It's been ongoing, like I said, for almost over 17 years. The numbers went from 12 to almost 10,000.
Wow.
And on social media, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on X. It's nothing but positivity. There's not going to be any crap. I'm not going to get in a fist fight with the other, it just happened. And I feel bad, but somebody said something, and I kind of go, hey, I'm not your dude, and, have a good day or whatever. And then boom, something nasty came back. I just block them. I got no time for it. I'm not there to fight. I'm there to just try to help. I don't know it all, but I've learned a lot.
Absolutely.
And I'm just trying to be of service to others. So if there's any way, or anybody that's listening would like to get on that email list or follow me on those social media platforms, that's fine. I'm not looking for followers, but maybe there's something I'll share that will help you in your journey and your walk. I have one last question for you before I got to go. How long have you had the podcast?
Just over 3 years.
How many subscribers did you have after 6 months?
Probably like 80.
How many do you have now?
Over 350.
but look, you're growing.
Well, that's on YouTube. But that's the only one that YouTube and Spotify are on the platform. But I'm also looking for, hey, that's a good plug there, Clint. I got to get more subscribers.
But I mean, you're growing because you put out good content.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And you're not crapping people. And we're not trying to be smarter than we are.
Yeah.
And just keep doing that. Good content is contagious.
Thank you.
And people with humility and service, like you're a football coach. Just tell me who you coach. Do you coach the line?
No, well, I coach D-line. It's my son's team. Yeah.
Don't tell me you're the receivers coach. You're big boy. You're receivers. No. Who's more humble, steadfast, and disciplined than a lineman or a defensive lineman?
Should be the quarterback.
Well, it should be, but the lineman. What happens if you don't have a good D line or good O line?
That's true. You're gonna get smashed. Yeah.
You're done.
But it should be the quarterback being very grateful for people blocking for him, especially that left tackle.
Amen. Thank you for the opportunity today.
Clint, I appreciate you, brother. Hey, I want to tell you real quick before we go, thank you for all you've done for the city of Pittsburgh. Thank you for all the Pirate fans, I'm speaking on behalf of all the Pirate fans. And thank you so much. I'd love to have you back on again. You're welcome anytime. And thank you again. Appreciate everything you've done.
We'll schedule it. Make sure you get your content to Josh and I. You copy us, you tag us, you do whatever you do with it, okay?
Sure. All right. I appreciate you.
Thanks,
all right,
brother.
I'll see you next time.
Be well. Good luck.
Bye.
Bye-bye.